From a young entrepreneur to the billionaire founder of SoftBank Group Corp, Masayoshi Son's life story is nothing short of extraordinary. Discover how he turned his ambitious dreams into reality and revolutionized the tech industry with his bold investments. Join us as we take a closer look at his early beginnings, his path to success, and his many challenges. So sit back and be blown away by the crazy life of Masayoshi Son. Early life. Masayoshi Son's grandparents fled South Korea and arrived in Japan via a small fishing boat, lacking food and shelter and unable to communicate in the language. Similarly, Masayoshi's beginnings were harsh, as his Korean heritage made him an outsider in Japanese society, and he was pelted with rocks by his childhood peers. His father struggled to make ends meet, doing odd jobs like pig farming and selling illegal alcohol. Masayoshi Son was driven to improve his circumstances from a young age, and the bullying he faced only reinforced his determination. As a teenager, Masayoshi Son looked up to Den Fujita, the man who introduced McDonald's to Japan. Masa spent countless hours attempting to contact Den by calling his office, but the receptionist always informed him that he was too preoccupied to speak with him. "Okay, this is a waste of my telephone bill. So I flew into Tokyo and I said I came because the phone call became more expensive than air ticket." This young man's determination struck Den and, upon learning that Masa had traveled to his office, agreed to a 15-minute meeting. During this meeting, Masa sought Den's advice. "Yeah, I asked him what business should I do. Computer, that's the one." Den advised Masa to go to America to pursue his business aspirations, which Masa promptly acted upon at 16. He improved his English skills and attended an American high school, but found the pace too slow. Masa persuaded the school to let him take the college entrance exam early, despite not being fully prepared. He barely passed, but less than a month after starting high school, he graduated and enrolled at the University of California to study economics and computer science. In addition, Masa needed financial support and asked his friends if they knew of any job that paid $10,000 a month for only 5 minutes of work per day. His friends were understandably skeptical of such a proposition. Nonetheless, Masa spent 5 minutes daily brainstorming innovative ideas he could patent and sell. While not all of his ideas were successful, he did generate some profitable concepts. Within a year, Masa wrote 215 unique invention ideas. He deemed the most promising to be a handheld tool capable of translating text into various languages. After enlisting a physics professor to help build a prototype, Masa devoted himself to pitching his invention to companies. He even hired another student to attend his missed lectures. Sharp eventually purchased the patent for $1.7 million, making Masa a millionaire at 19. Meanwhile, he also began importing Space Invaders arcade machines from Japan and installing them in American bars and restaurants as a side gig. Masa's entrepreneurial instincts proved successful as he imported over 350 Space Invaders arcade machines to the US within 6 months, making a profit of over $1 million. He also worked incredibly hard, often 7 days a week, and had minimal sleep, fueled by his passion for the process and success. Masa aimed to leverage his profits from the US to establish an even larger business in Japan. He brainstormed 14 potential business ideas and ranked them based on various metrics, ultimately deciding that a computer software distribution company was the most viable. This led to the creation of SoftBank. As we move on to Masayoshi Son's business investments, don't forget to subscribe to the channel by clicking the red button. Click the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we release a new video. The rise of a business empire. In the early 80s, personal computers was still in its infancy, but Masa remained optimistic about the industry, particularly after his mentor encouraged him to focus on computers. Despite no software experience, Masa believed SoftBank could become Japan's top distribution company. Many advised him to stop, fearing he would squander his hard-earned money. But Masa persisted and poured more money into the business. His persistence paid off, and SoftBank thrived during the early 90s personal computing boom. However, disaster struck when Masa was diagnosed with chronic hepatitis and became bedridden in the hospital. As a workaholic, Masa asked nervously how long the treatment would take, but the doctor warned him there was no guarantee of a cure. With his company now successful, Masa faced the possibility that he might not have long to live. Masa faced a tricky situation when diagnosed with chronic hepatitis, with a young daughter and another child on the way and loans from the bank to fund SoftBank. To keep his funding, he pretended everything was fine and attended company meetings even while in the hospital. Though he recovered, the scare made him realize he couldn't take time for granted. By the mid-90s, SoftBank had $1 billion in revenue and 800 employees. Masa took the company public and began investing in other tech companies, driven by his vision of how technology would change the world. Investments. First up, Alibaba. In 2000, Son invested $20 million in the Chinese e-commerce giant, a risky move at the time, but one that would pay off big time. When Alibaba went public in 2014, SoftBank's stake in the company was worth over $60 billion, making it one of the most successful investments in tech history. Masayoshi Son also invested in Uber, the ride-hailing company that revolutionized transportation. His early investment of $8 million turned into a $13 billion stake in the company. Masayoshi Son's investment in ARM Holdings, a UK-based semiconductor company, is another success story. His $32 billion acquisition of the company in 2016 was the largest ever purchase of a European tech company. But as with any risky investment, there are bound to be ups and downs, and we've listed down some of the costly investments. WeWork. In 2019, SoftBank invested heavily in WeWork, which provides business co-working spaces. The investment was worth around $10 billion, making SoftBank WeWork's largest shareholder. However, the company's valuation started to plummet after its initial public offering was postponed, leading to SoftBank losing billions of dollars. In the end, SoftBank had to take control of WeWork to save it from bankruptcy, as its valuation was $47 billion to $8 billion in months. OneWeb. In 2020, SoftBank invested $1 billion in OneWeb, a satellite internet provider. However, OneWeb filed for bankruptcy just a few months later, resulting in SoftBank losing its investment. Sprint. In 2013, SoftBank acquired a majority stake in Sprint, a US-based telecommunications company. The acquisition was worth around $21.6 billion, making it SoftBank's most significant investment. However, the purchase failed to yield the desired results, with Sprint struggling financially. In 2020, SoftBank sold its stake in Sprint to T-Mobile, losing billions of dollars. Despite these setbacks, Son's reputation as a savvy and daring investor remains intact. His ability to spot trends early and take significant risks has paid off time and time again, making him one of the world's most successful and respected investors. Despite facing many obstacles and challenges, Masayoshi Son persevered. His passion and determination led him to make some of the boldest and most successful investments in tech history. Today, SoftBank is one of the largest technology conglomerates in the world, with a portfolio that includes among the most innovative brands in the tech industry.